Welcome back, everybody. My name is All Fun and Games. I stream every day on Twitch TV, and I also make fun little videos here on YouTube. Today, we're going to be showcasing a little bit of lineup of the mobs that are in Don't Starve Together, specifically the ones that I think could use a rework or some sort of a buff, or some that might need a nerf. I mean, if there are any of those. So let's talk about the most basic mob in Don't Starve Together. Of course, I'm going to be avoiding things like spiders. I don't think we're going to get too far into those ones or like any sort of smaller mobs. We're really going to focus on what you might consider like a boss. Now, considering the fact that a Treeguard is pretty much your main early game mob slash boss, like don't know if I would classify as a boss. I mean, I think it's probably reasonable to talk about the Treeguard. So if you've encountered a Treeguard before, sometimes they'll randomly be walking around, which is actually not too possible unless there's a Treeguard actual event or kind of like a set piece, I would say, that appear on the map. Otherwise, if you go around chopping trees and you don't really care about how many trees you're chopping, you might end up having a few tree guards that are trying to attack you. I spawned this one in naturally, so it's just wandering around aimlessly until I decide to actually go through the process of attacking it, or of course if I piss it off by chopping down a tree. So, tree guards, why are they good and why are they also needing a little bit of an actual buff? Well, when you attack a tree guard, you actually have a crazy amount of time to hit it before actually being able to dodge its attacks. The reason why this is actually a good thing is because it gets you kind of ready to go inside of Don't Starve Together without having to worry too much about getting devoured pretty early on, considering that chopping trees is obviously a thing that you have to do a lot in Don't Starve Together. So meaning that if you're a new player in Don't Starve Together and you decide to go through the process of chopping trees and all of a sudden a million tree guards show up, you might be asking the question is, well, this is a lot harder for me than it is for you. So why are you trying to make it have a little bit of a buff? Well, let's talk about that. So as awesome as tree guards are, they're more beefy than anything. They just sit there and take a few hits. And some characters will actually do a little bit more damage to tree guards, as we know in the Woody rework that just recently happened with the skill tree set. Now, this is okay, but still it does take a while to actually kill these things because they are extremely beefy. But when you do, they actually net you a lot of souls as Wartalks, and of course you get probably one of the coolest items in the game, and that's a bunch of living logs, which is actually really, really useful. Now, mind you, you can get a lot of living logs otherwise from other things. Of course, if you have a Wormwood in the server and you have a Wartalks, well, you're going to have endless living logs for eternity. So basically, Wormwood can tear their arm off and then hand you their actual arm multiple times, and while Wartalks is consistently healing. So this is something that you can do a lot of, but of course if you don't have that, well then you have to resort to actual other ways of getting lots of living logs, and that's where tree guards come in handy. So why do I think that tree guards need to have a little bit of a buff? Well, let's talk about that again. Let's go ahead and spawn one more in just so we can get an idea. Now, I mentioned before that they have 3000 HP. They, of course, do a little bit of damage to you. And as I mentioned before, they attack extremely slow. Later on in the game, it actually becomes pretty much annoying to actually kill a bunch of tree guards. Sometimes I go through the process where I don't even bother killing them because they don't really do anything other than giving me living logs. Now, I do think it would be really cool to have different forms of tree guards. So, for example, in Shipwrecked, they have different tree guards that you would see that are not similar to this one. And of course, that is something that I would like to see furthermore into Don't Starve Together. So for example, we might even see something like a Twiggy tree guard or something like that that could possibly walk around. Not that I play with Twiggy trees, but it would be cool to see different formats of them other than just this one and the one that you get the birch nut tree, which is obviously a lot harder than this one, which we won't even mention. Now, this one here, obviously the regular tree guard that is going around and wandering around, and then once it starts attacking you, as I mentioned before, very easy to kite, but at the same time too, it would be even better if it had a different form of attacking you. So let's just say you're fighting a very small tree guard, because sometimes you get a little tiny one walking around. Maybe they don't have this ability, but a larger tree guard could have the ability to maybe either trap you in a circle format just like it does in the uncompromising mode, which is really cool. Basically, it does a ground pound effect, and it actually traps you in a set of spikes. More of like wooden spikes, which then comes in and starts attacking you even further, which makes you kind of a little bit more scared of the tree guard. Another cool thing that could potentially happen is the ability where the tree guard can maybe pick you up and toss you, which I believe is also in that mod as well, which is really cool. I just would like to see more things with tree guards. Whether or not they do get buffed, I don't think they're going to, because like I said, they are the base mob in Don't Starve Together that a lot of people encounter right away. So do I think they're going to get an upgrade or change at all? Probably not, because they've been in the game so much. I would, however, like to see where progressively mobs get harder and Don't Starve Together. I've mentioned this before. And the bonus about this is that a year and Don't Starve Together, or a year after that, things would change. Mobs would have a different format of attacking you, making you almost feel like every year in Don't Starve Together is completely different for the longer you survive. The reason why I like this, and I do think that a lot of different mobs eventually need to have some sort of more randomizers when it comes to actually attacking, is it'll keep you on your toes. Instead of going in there and knowing if I hit it once and I back away, that I can easily kite and walk right back in, hit a few times, walk back out, so on and so on and so on. Well, guess what? Now you can no longer do that, and now you're trying to figure out a different way of attacking it while trying not to get killed. So that's what I would like to see. More of a way that Treeguards can actually attack you, and potentially if they get stronger after a few years, or maybe down the road, their attack patterns begin to change up a lot more. Instead of just attacking you periodically so the kiting pattern is down pat, perhaps they could pick you up, throw you, do an alternate move, or whatever they want to do to keep you always moving and always grooving and Don't Starve Together. So if you're out there fighting a Treeguard and you're wondering, okay, these things are a little bit boring, well, you might be wondering, okay, what other cool things could they eventually add into Don't Starve Together to make it even more spicy? So tell me down below in the comments what you think. Do you think that Treeguards need to be changed? Do you think they're perfect the way they are? Or do you just want to leave Treeguards alone and you don't really care about Treeguards? Let me know down in the comments what you think, but I would like to see Treeguards have a small little buff and potentially get harder for us in the constant. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.